Hi everyone, have you ever been running a Six Sigma project in your business or in your company and needed a one-pager template to show your stakeholders and show your customers all of the great work that you're doing on improving the process or improving your company? Well, this is one of the best templates that I've come across and that I use on a continuous basis. And we're going to have a look at how to create this in PowerPoint today. But before we do, there are a few key things that we will need to put in our Six Sigma on a page or DMAIC on a page template. And that is, we'll have things like our project sponsor, the lead for the particular project, the team members who are involved, then a schedule milestone list, just a very high level, just so that people get a rough idea. And then we go through all the DMAIC steps themselves. So before we get into the project, we want a predefined checklist. So what's the current state? What's actually kicking off this project? What's the desired state? What's the gap that we're looking for? Then we go through define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And in this particular sheet, as we're going along, I'm going to share with you exactly what to include in each section. This one is already filled out. We've got templates. So for example, you might have your Gantt chart here. You might have your risks once you've controlled all your control charts, for example. But we're going to go through in detail exactly what to include so you can create your very own. Let's get into it. Now, the very first thing we're going to do is just insert a few shapes at the top so that this can act as our header area. So the first thing is just a normal rectangle, and we're just going to give that as a bit of a light gray fill, but with no outline, and that'll give us our heading area to work with. We also want to insert a text box, and that can be our heading itself. That's our project title and our DMAIC right there so that people know what it is. This is our project title. Put that in the center, and now we've got something to work with. Now, the next thing for our header area really quickly is to just insert a table. And our first one, we want 2 columns and maybe 3 rows. Now for this, we don't want our header row and we don't want banded rows either. But what we do want is just to bring this over a little bit. And our first one is our project sponsor, then our lead or our black belt, then of course our team members. For this particular section, we want the shading to be white, and now we can actually do a few more borders around this as well. So we maybe just want all borders. They can be black, and that way it stands out quite nicely. We will need to reduce the size of the text just so that that will fit. And of course, we can shuffle this around ever so slightly, maybe put this in the middle and these in the middle as well. Now we want a similar thing for our schedule milestone list. So we can actually copy this with Control-C and Control-V and bring this across. Then it's just a matter of changing each section to suit. And then we input all of our schedule milestones. So this is our predefine, what are the dates for it, define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. We can have our milestone list title right up the top there. Next, what we're going to do is just insert some shapes, and this is our rectangle for each of our sections. So for each of the DMAIC sections, our outline can be like a nice deep blue, maybe have a little bit of a larger weight to it, and our fill can be white. And then for each of these, we're just going to put the heading, make that a little bit bold. And again, so got a nice color there, and it's sitting at the top of our section. We're just going to go ahead and copy and paste, and then we can fill out for the rest of all of our sections. Now, as promised, let's go through exactly what to include in each section. For our predefined checklist, we want to narrow down our problem, so we want to discover the actual dollar value. This might include the project charter, listing the problem, the dollar value, and the gap from where you are to where you want to be. We might have the sponsor and the team members and the high-level schedule on our project charter as well, but you can just place that project charter in this little section of our one-pager, and then people can go into more detail if they really want to. Likewise, for our define section, if we're just keeping this to a one-pager, we're going to include the things that we've used in the define stage of our project. So this might include defining using flowcharts, using SciPocs, so figuring out the process, maybe using value stream maps to figure out and define the current state, using a critical to quality. So what are the critical factors that we're really delving into here? Maybe line graphs or gap analysis or anything else to define the current situation. Next, when we're measuring our current situation, we might include things like check sheets or tally sheets because we're tallying up how many defects are happening, for example. We might use raw voice of the customer data, so maybe customer satisfaction measures out of 1 to 10, maybe net promoter score, for example. So how likely would you be to recommend us to a friend out of 1 to 10? And then you get your net promoter score in that way. Maybe you're using benchmarking data from other companies or other processes and figuring out where the gaps are that way and measuring in that way. Put all of that information in our measure stage. Then of course we need to analyze it and get to the root cause. So what we're doing now is problem solving, and to do that we might use things like Pareto charts. So where are the most defects happening? Include your Pareto chart. Include scatter plots when you've gathered that data and now you can clearly see where the problem is. Histograms for the same reason. Affinity diagrams where maybe things are overlapping or things are all in the same bucket of problems, for example. Analysis of variance or ANOVA. Regression analysis to see trends. Root cause analysis with fishbone or Ishikawa diagrams. So is it people, information, process, or systems? Maybe brainstorm with your team in those buckets to see where the root cause of the problem actually is. Doing the 5 whys, asking why something's happening until we get to the root cause. Looking at impacts or control over impact matrix. So how much control do we have over this thing and how much impact is it having on the problem? Very, very important to know. Once we've got that and we're moving into actually improving that situation, we want to pilot those improvements with a small area just to start so we can see if it makes a difference. And now we're going to track how that's going. So we're going to track it using our Gantt charts or schedules, maybe Kanban boards moving cards across from in progress through to done. Maybe action registers, so who's responsible for doing what as we're implementing this pilot solution. Maybe we'll include the new process flows, so new charts and new maps. And of course we can use, to improve, it's important to use poka-yoke, so mistake proofing or automation, which is basically where we're checking or catching for errors and then swarming around those errors before they become a big problem. Once we're happy that we've implemented something and it is working, and then we push that out to the wider group or to more people, now we can control that. We need to make sure that it is under control. We need to measure it ongoing to make sure that it's still doing what we wanted. So we might have Pareto charts before and after. We might have line graphs before and after. So is it improving? Is it continually improving? Here's a measurement from 5 months ago. Here's a measurement from today. Is it actually better? And is it the desired result that we want? Maybe we've got our new standard operating procedures. So have we implemented those and trained our staff or our people on those new procedures? Failure mode effects analysis, which is basically what's the trigger for something to fail. This is like a risk document. So maybe we want to redo the failure mode effects analysis for the new triggers. Maybe we've reduced the risk and maybe we need to update that. And of course, control charts. So is the process line graph going still within control, or is it going out of control now that we've implemented the fix or the change in our business? And all of that, when you combine all of those items and put them all together, and you do it in a very visual way just by placing those documents from what you've created into our one-pager here, now you've got a beautiful DMAIC one-pager that you can take to an executive team or input or showcase to other teams very quickly and very easily. I've really enjoyed creating this particular one with you today, and I hope you've enjoyed yourself as well. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.